Everybody knows about ayin hara, but really nobody really knows anything about ayin hara. There are two types of ayin hara. There's one type of ayin hara that is caused by somebody being mispoiled, just being overwhelmingly impressed and in awe of what they see by somebody else, whether it's they see by somebody's yoifi, their ashiros, their kavod, and they're in awe of what they see. That itself could cause an ayin hara and cause hazik to someone. There's another type of ayin hara that's caused through, as we all know, through kinna, through jealousy. A person sees something by their friend and they're jealous, or they have tsaris ayin. They can't forgive the atzlacha that their friend has. That's also another siba that could cause ayin hara, and this is the most chomer form of ayin hara that we know. Reb Dessler writes in Michtav Eliyahu that part of the hezek that comes from ayin hara is caused by the tsar that you're causing the other person to have kinna. The other person who has kinna, there's a tsar of kinna he has in himself, and because of that causes hezek ayin hara to the person who is garim that tsar that he has. And because of that, a person has to do mitzvahs to protect himself from the hezek of ayin hara. Like we see in the Gemara in Eruvin and Daf Samach Daled, the Gemara says, "Hamachzik b'nichsei ager." If somebody was kind of hefker from a ger, so what should he do? Be a scam biyadei. What should he do that it should last by him? He shouldn't lose it. Yikach ben sefer Torah, to protect himself that he shouldn't lose it from ayin hara. He should buy a sefer Torah with it. Rabbi says, even if somebody made a windfall in business, also he should do mitzvahs with it to protect himself from ayin hara. Papa Omar, afilu matz mitzvah. Even if somebody finds a mitzvah, also he has to do mitzvahs with it in order to protect himself. And Rashi there explains clearly, because when any of these things happen, it's a milsa de temiyah v'tava ba'inshi. These are things that people are stunned by. They're in awe. They're dazzled by it, and because of that, because of the spilus that they have, that causes the person the hezek v'ayin hara, and the way to protect themselves is by taking their gains that they made and investing into a mitzvah. There's a very interesting Ben Yad over there that explains that you see a person could even cause an ayin hara himself. The Gemara says even by matzah mitzvah, and you had arvach through that, you have to invest in a mitzvah to protect himself from ayin hara. Now a person finds a mitzvah, nobody knows about it, only he knows about it, and still we're saying the person is vulnerable to ayin hara. So it must be even a person himself can make ayin hara and cause itself hezek. Now that type of ayin hara obviously is not from kinna, because a person can't be jealous of himself. Rather, it must be because you have a spilus, you're stunned and you're in awe of the atzlacha you had, and because of that, that's how a person could generate against himself his own ayin hara. Even if you can't control the kinna, doing mitzvahs is a protection. That's what the Gemara says. Okay, so the Gemara says we have Chazal telling us, the guide how to protect ourselves, and they say you take the money, you buy a sefer Torah with it, you do mitzvah that protects yourself. I didn't make it up. It's the Gemara. Samach Daled tonight. Okay. I can't tell you for everything the farvos, but I can tell you the vas, the way things are, and not why they are like that, especially in the ayin hara. Okay? Now there's a machlokes in the Rishonim if it's kaim bizmanenu, the hezek v'ayin hara. The Rambam, like he says in many places, in terms of spiritual ezekus, he says that it's not kaim bizmanenu ayin hara. The Rambam says ein ayin hara in kishufim in klalis. We don't have kishuf nowadays, no ayin hara nowadays. But going against the Rambam, we have all the other Rishonim, the Rashba, the Ramban. They say this kaim the in of ayin hara nowadays. In the Sefer Divrei Yoshiyahu, he says that although we say by many things, by many hazeki ruchnim, we say man lo kapid lo kaptinim ba'adei. If a person himself doesn't pay attention, is not worried about it, he won't be damaged by it. But he says when it comes to ayin hara is a mitzius. It's an actuality, and even if a person's not makbid, doesn't care about it, he's still vulnerable to the hezek of ayin ra. In the Moshe writes at the end of a tshuva that bevadai bizbanenu, a person has to be chayish and be careful about ayin hara, but it doesn't have to be so makbid about it. Doesn't make yourself crazy about it, because we do say the mandalay kapid loy kapidina ba'adei. If a person doesn't pay attention to it, doesn't care about it, it won't come to such harm. As we say by Zugais also, where Moshe held that bizmanenu mandalay kapid loy kapidina ba'adei. But he does say clearly that you do have to be careful. You have to be chayish. One time, I was by a vad by Rabbi Gamil Rabinovich. He's the Rashiva B'Kabbalim of Shari Shemayim, and he was saying that he has people that come to him and they complain to him that this bad thing happened to them, that this tzara and that tzara, and they lost money, and it must be because that their shachi and their neighbor gave them ayin har. So he says he responds to these type of people that calls man that they're not being shomer and being mekayim taryag mitzvahs properly. They have no right to be toil their tzaras and say their tzaras are coming from the ayin har of the chaverim or their neighbors. After you've been mekayim and fulfill taryag mitzvahs properly and you're full shomer taryag mitzvahs, then you can say, oh, maybe it's the ayin har of my chaverim, my neighbors. But calls man, you have other things to take care of and say yourself straight about. You can't blame it on your friends. So not everything is about ayin hara. There was a maisa. A balvos came to Rav Shach. He bought a nice new fancy car, and he shared with Rav Shach his feelings that he was afraid that maybe something will happen to him or to his car because of ayin hara. Beautiful car, people are going to be mekana, a person like him. So Rav Shach asked him, "Can't spell mitzvah? You know Gemara ba mitzvah?" He's like, "No." Rav Shach asked him, "Baba Kama, you know?" I was like, no. So I was like, okay, if that's the case, don't worry. People are not going to be mekana of you. Don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about ayin hara. People, but a guy like you, people are not going to be jealous of.
What about the process of removing an ayin hara to do Yerushalayim?
You have to go to them. I'm not in that business. I also want a beer. Now, the Yavitz and the Kavi Yasher bring down B'Shem the Arizal, and it's also brought down B'Shem L'Chaim Vital, that we see that the ayin even has a koyach mamashi, is a tivistic koyach. We see by the basayano, which is I think the ostrich, that has a koyach when it steers out its eggs, that it causes the egg to hatch and it develops, but the eggs by being mistakel, and that's how their eggs hatch. By all other birds, we know that the way they develop is by the mother giving them warmth and sitting on them. But when it comes to the basiyano, all it has to do is it's mistakel at the eggs, and that's what it causes the eggs to hatch. So you see over here that the koyach ayin goes zayvait has a koyach mamashi. So we're going to bring up over here a few mamar chazal that talk about the inyan of ayin hara, and it's brought down all gemaras and midrashim everywhere. It says in the Gemara Bal Metzia on Daf Kuzayin that out of 100 people that die, 99 out of them died from the hezek of ayin hara. There's a famous Medrash Tanchumah, when the Shvatim went down to Mitzrayim, Yaakov advised them to go through different sha'arim, not together. He told them, Lam Tisro, why should you appear in front of everybody together as Anashim Gibarim, Noim, and you're going to attract a lot of attention, and people are going to be mispoiled. And that's going to cause you ayin hara. So, that's the reason why Yaakov advised them to go and not congregate together and go through different sha'arim. The Ben Ish Chai says we see by all sicknesses that have the koyach to mazik the guf. But when it comes to ayin hara, it can even be mazik the devar muchni, the neshama. We see, he brings a raya from the famous Medrash Tanchuma, State Tahum Parsh Kisisa, that the Luchser Rishainis, they were broken, Al Shanita Bapumbi, they were given in such fanfare in public, Pefahesya, and because they had such exposure to everyone, they were given in such a great event, that caused a matzav of Espilus and ayin hara, and that's why they're nishtabru. So you see, even by Dvar Mruchni, the ayin hara could be mazik. We see in other places, Chazal, in the Gemara Sanhedrin, that even with a person, without having malicious intent, without being mechav and rat to anybody, that it's still, but through the process of being spoiled, being in awe and stunned by an event or by what he sees, could cause a hezek of ayin hara. State in Gemara Sanhedrin, it talks about the mice of Chananim Shal Azariah. They didn't want to serve the Avodah Zarah and bow down to the Avodah Zarah, so they jumped into Kibshan Eish and Umayis Nafsham Kadishim Shemayim, and had a nation that was saved. And the Gemara asks, we don't see in the Ksuvim that they're brought down afterwards about anything. We don't see much recorded about them after this Maisa. Lahechan Azu, fractic Gemara, where'd they go? And Rav says, Amar de Gezach, Amar Rav, Ba'ayin Hara Mesu. They died from Ayin Hara. In Rashi's Masber, Shei Mistakun Behen, people would look at them, Ashay Timeim Behen. They would look at Chanai, Mishal, Bazari in such awe, and they were stunned, they were overwhelmed with being impressed of this Maisa, the nace that happened to them. And because of that Ayin Hara that came from just this spilus, that caused the Misa of these tzaddikim of Chanai, Mishal, and Bazari. They were saved from Kiddush Eish. When they didn't want to die in Kiddush Hashem, but what happened to them? They were still vulnerable to the koyach of Ayin Hara. And that's what caused that was the sibah for their Misa afterwards. Also brought down about Chana when she davened for her child, for Shmuel. The pasuk says about Tispala Hashem, she davened to Hashem, Bachi Tifchen, she cried and cried. And what was her tefillah? What type of child did she request? The pasuk says she davened for Zera Anoshim. Rashi says Zera Muvla Bein Anoshim. A child doesn't stick out so much. The Gemara Brachos explains she was davening not a child that's not too tall, not too short, not such a goyin, not a tippish, an average child, somebody doesn't stick out. Why? Why didn't she want a child that's such a chacham, such a goyin? What could be so bad? So Rashi says over there on the Gemara, Yatema B'nei Habriyos. It shouldn't baffle people when they see such a chacham, such a goyin, when we talk shnedabrim boy, and because they will be talking about him and paying attention to him and being mispoil of what he has, and perhaps being mekana, will be shalatis boy ayin hara. Rashi, I think Rashi sounds just for the spilus protection is dabrim boy. The fact that just be talking about such a goyin that would cause a hezektim of ayin hara. So that's why Chana davened for a Zera Muva Ben Anoshim, an average child, and still he grew up to be Shalom Shmonavi. That's brought down different Gemaras of what we have to do to be shomer from Ayin Hara. It says Gemara Tainus, famous Gemara, Amar Yitzchak Eina Brach Mitzuyo Ela B'Davar Samim Ayin. Shmuel says, the bracha only the skyim and lasts in a place that the ayin doesn't see. And the Maral and the Marshal explain that the reason that something is going to have atzlacha only if it's not exposed to the einayim, to other people, is because since it's not going to have ayin har and people are not going to see it, therefore the bracha will be miskayemis. We have another Gemara B'Mitzi and Daf Kozayin that says Lo Yistakel B'Shasha. A person the Amar Hu Demarav. It's also for an Adam to be Oimida Astei Chaveroi B'Shasha Oimdes B'Kamisel. When the person's field is standing in its glory and ready to be harvested, and he's going to bring in all of his crop, a person shouldn't go by and look at his harvest field. And it's because by looking at his harvest field, Rashi says it's going to be mafsid ba'in hara. We take a pass like that in Shulchan Aruch in the Torah that calls him out any time that person could cause hezek with his riyah on his harvest nechasim. It's also for him to be mistakel because he could cause a hezek of ayin hara. There's a mice brought down about Rabbi Zal Meltzer that when you take a walk home and it would be quicker for him to go through the Shuk Machne Yehuda. he still wouldn't walk through there, and he would go on a circuitous route to get home. So people asked him, how come you don't go through the shuk? It'd be much quicker for you. Why do you go out of your way? To which he responded that, in my house, I don't have a shefa of mazain. I live in poverty. I don't have so much at home. And when I walk through the shuk Machan Yehuda, I see all the storekeepers, and they have a shefa of food, and there's such a riboy meichel. And I'm afraid that if by me walking through there and seeing how much they have, I'll have an aspiralus from it and cause them ayin hara. So this is a dogma how somebody has to be careful and was careful when they were chayshish that they were going to cause hezek v'ayin hara from this aspiralus, and therefore was careful to go out of his way to avoid such things from happening. Now there's another Gemara about Basra, a similar Gemara, that says that a person should make sure that his sadeh or his business should be rachik min ear, because if it's away from people, people won't see it. But if people always pass by, they'll see his business. They cause hazak of ayin hara. The Pel Yoetz says that in Kamas Farm it's brought down different schools to be shomer from ayin hara, and he says definitely we should go be careful and try what we could do to do the schools or do what's brought down in Chazal to protect ourselves from ayin hara, because that's b'chlal the din of b'nishmarta meidus nafshe seichem. And he says val kol tefillah oisa peris. Tefillah makes peris. Tefillah protects a person. Kilkinu marachim shmei tefillah is kol peh Hashem marachim, and here's our tefillah is bumatzos ami ayin hara. So first should keep in mind that that's also don't forget about tefillah. Tefillah also protects a person in the hezek of ayin hara. Now I was wondering, we will hear people all the time saying that Baruch Hashem bli ayin hara. I thank you Baruch Hashem bli ayin hara. What's a bli ayin hara? Manashach. How does that help you? Either the person will have ayin hara, and by you saying bli ayin hara, it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to help. It's going to help. And if you're not going to have an ayin hara, from what do you tell him? So what are you saying bli ayin hara for? What was it getting you? So I was thinking one of two things, that maybe a person says bli ayin hara, it's like a tefillah to Hashem. He's been mekayim the Pel Yoetz Eitzah that bli ayin hara, and maybe that's a tefillah to bakasha to Hashem, that Hashem make sure that bli ayin hara. Maybe Stami, you're asking your friend for a favor. I'm telling you this information. You ask me personal information, I'm giving it to you, but do me a favor. Don't hurt me. Bli ayin hara. Don't give me ayin hara. Maybe that's pshat. Also, very you do. We all know that we don't count people by their heads because of achshash ayin hara. It's brought down actually in the Kaf HaChaim, the Shulchan Aruch, that we don't do that because of the great sakana involved, and the sources for Machzor Shekel in the Midbar. We see in Parshas Kisisa that there was Isra to count them by their heads, and they had to give a kaifer nafshe, the Machzor Shekel. And the Rebbeinu Chai explains over there because Machzor ayin hara shaletes b'minyan, and it causes kin and aspilus al riboy mispar nimnim, from the great numbers that are counted. It causes kin or aspilus. Therefore, we have to avoid that, so we shouldn't make ayin hara. Halach l'maisa, we see in many places that we do things differently to avoid ayin hara. It's brought down in Shulchan Aruch and Simon's Kufmem Aleph that l'chatchila we don't call two brothers up for an aliyah consecutively back to back. Let's say you have two Yisraelim for Revi and Chamishi. We don't call up a brother and then another brother because it causes ayin hara. But if you do call up back to back, it's fine, but we try to avoid it because of this reason. The Ramah and Ibn Ezer and Simon Samach Beis, he says that if you have two Chassanim getting married in the same place, we don't do the Birchas Chassanim together, to have one bracha for both of them, and get them married at the same time, because it also be a source of ayin hara. The Prisha says similarly, if you have two babies to be mal, twins, or two babies in shul that they need a milah, we don't do one bracha for both of them because it could be a source of ayin hara. Also, Maisa the Ramah says we're not chayish ayin hara when it comes to two milas, and you could do one bracha for two milas consecutively. One bracha to be yaitz, two babies in a milah. Brought down for the Bnei Yisachar another segula to be nishmar from ayin hara. He says that when a person is makasher his hatzlachat himself, and he says that look at all the riches I got, look at how much money I made. and he connects himself and says, I'm the source of my riches. Over there, that's where ayin hara could be chal. But when a person is miyachas his atzlach to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he's always saying that, and he believes sincerely, believe shalom, and expresses it that Baruch Hashem, look what Hashem gave me, and Baruch Hashem, look what Hashem shared with me, this money and that Ashiris, and he's always involved with connecting Hashem to what he got, and recognizing that it's Hashem's, and he got it from Hashem. It's not him who got it. So when Hashem's involved with his business, and Hashem he expresses and knows that Hashem is the one who's giving him the Ashiras, to Hashem no hezek happen. When that happens, when he does that and has that in mind and expresses it, he won't have the hezek of ayin hara. Because when Hashem is on your business card and your branding, and you see that Hashem is part of your atzlacha, and you're showing that it's not really his, it's not really mine, it's his, and Hashem's just sharing with me. So when you see it's Hashem's money, then to that ayin hara can't be chal.
That's not a Baruch Hashem.
Yes, at least that. We also see in Chazal that ayin hara could penetrate even something that somebody received through b'derech nes. The Rebbeinu B'chai says that by Yaakov Avinu, when Hashem made the nes that the Malachim would carry the Tzayin Lavan to Yaakov, and he became very rich through that. Even so, Yaakov was mishtadel to put up the sticks in front of the sheep that they should see when they drink, and that should be a siba. It would look like a siba that he should that he should get a certain type of sheep in order to that will go to him and not to Lavan. So why did Yaakov do this hishtadlus? Hashem was giving him sending him the sign from Lavan. He didn't need to do this hishtadlus. So Dr. Rebbeinu B'chai, because he's trying to cover up the nes that was happening to him, that people shouldn't be mispoiled in what's going on. The Ashir said he's even kalbuk from the Baruch Hu, even though it's b'derech nes, and that's why he did this hishtadlus to cover up that nes that was happening to him. What they do? Right, so same thing. And the Chanami, 100%. The Pnei shows, he says that when a person is Makadashim Shemayim and he's marbes Chuyosav with Torah and mitzvahs, he builds himself a spiritual fortification against the hezek from ayin hara of people. And Bemis, that's our tafkid in life, to be marbes Torah and mitzvahs, and through that we're marbes our schuyos by doing Ratzon Hashem, will be nishmar from any hezek and from ayin hara.
Yeah.